Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 28th episode of Kouryer podcast. Today, I'm joined with Rasha Alem. She's a painter from Qatar. She was winner in eyeshadow competition, child photo category, and also winner of several realistic painting competitions in Culture City, Qatar. And with that out of the way, could you please give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design?
Sorry, I didn't understand that question. Can you please repeat? Can we stop now?
All right, yeah, sure. yeah, no problem. Could you please give us a
just
little
another
intro?
thing. I didn't. I already listened the introduction. But from Qatar, you mean I am having a Qatari nationality? Because I am not.
That's I think that was well. Could you please? No, I mean that was the info that was available on your website.
I'm
I mean
based
that's why I
in
mentioned it.
Qatar, but actually I am originally from Egypt. So yes, I am Egyptian
Awesome.
already. So if you
Nice.
said I am from Qatar, maybe everybody will think I am Qatari artist, and I am only really based in Qatar.
Yes. Oh, all right. I fix that right now.
Sorry
Good
about
to
this,
know.
but I thought
So
if somebody here,
no
it's really,
problem.
really
Yeah.
wrong information, and I wanted to say the truth. It's misunderstanding. Yeah,
I
there's a
mean,
misunderstanding.
fair
Yes.
enough. Yeah. Awesome. And well, let me repeat my
Mhm.
question again. Give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design.
Since my childhood, it was my passion to draw and to paint, and that was my dream for many years. So when I was in high school, they made me an exhibition in my school, and that was like a great achievement for me. So I decided to go to an art school, art university, but actually my family didn't support that idea so much because there's many parents prefer a stability income, a stability job, a job more secure than being a freelance artist. So my family advised me to study something else. And I really did. I studied marketing and business administration for some years. But my dream was always in my mind to be an artist. So I decided to study later. After I finished my education in marketing, I studied art in Florence Art Academy. And here I started to know more about painting and drawing, not only from my own education. I was like self-educating for many years. But when I got to Florence, I really realized the scientific part of painting and drawing. And that was really amazing, of course. And because when you mix your talent with solid information and science, I think the results are much better than only struggling alone teaching yourself. So I started to dedicate more time to painting and visual art. That was almost, I can't remember how many years now, but many years. I started.
All right. And actually, you mentioned that first you went, you were studying marketing, if I'm not mistaken. And on that note, I would like to ask another question. After you finished your marketing degree, what career path were you pursuing after that? Did you what occupation did you had before you became like an artist? That's basically what I'm trying to ask.
Yes, I was working in a television channel in Qatar for kids, for children, to teach them Arabic language, dedicated to 2 years, starting from 2 years old to 6 years old. And it was a lot of fun working of course, in that channel. But my job was far away from visual design or visual art. My job was more into marketing the place, promoting our programs for kids. So it was really, really different. But I decided to do this job and to go more for this career until I am sure and financially as well secured to be able to open my own studio and start my career as a freelance artist. Honestly, to be a freelance painter, it's not easy to live with, especially the competition is high. A lot of people, a lot of artists are doing great and amazing. So selling your work and showing and exhibiting it's really really tough these days. So that's why I was always trying to do two things, to be a freelance painter and at the same time to have a job, until I felt like, no, I need to be a full-time freelance painter. When I felt I'm ready to do that, I quit my job and I really opened a studio, and I dedicate full-time job to be a freelance painter. So my career was in a television channel.
All right. And what is your main branch of design that you're focusing on? And tell us about your experience from the start of it until now.
Design. What do you mean by design?
Not just design, like what area of visual arts you're focusing on right now. I mean, of course, in the introduction, I already mentioned you're a
Yes.
painter. But yeah, could you basically dive deep into that and explain to us, like, how did it start for you and
Yes, sure.
your whole journey throughout?
Since I told you, since childhood, I love to draw and paint, and I love a lot to work in many materials. Yes, but mostly I prefer to work with oil material and charcoal. And in portrait. So mostly my work stress on two materials, which is oil and charcoal, and a lot of more into figurative art. I don't do a lot of landscapes, or no. I mainly I find myself more attracted to figurative art, especially portraits. So if you can say, for many years now, I still find myself enjoying working in figurative and portrait with these two materials. I like to introduce more materials to my work, but it depends also on what I want to say. Mostly, I find what I want in these two materials.
All right. And did you start by learning and doing sketching and drawing, then transition into oil painting? Or you started learning oil painting and you just learned the fundamentals of drawing along the way? Do you know what I
Yes,
mean?
I understand what. Yes, I always prefer to use sketches. Yes, definitely, and that's really really good thing to do. When you want to do a project, when I want to do my project about a new painting, I prefer to do many sketches, many sketches from different angles, with different lights, until I reach the one I feel I like the most. And how I decide depending on my own eyes. I believe my eyes, I believe my intuition. So I always make 1, 2, 3 sketches until I reach, oh, this is the one, then I start painting this. I believe this is better than going directly with your piece, especially if you work on a big scale. I work mostly on big scales, and when I work on a big scale, I want to be more secured about my idea is gonna be good, and it's gonna be like I want to get used to it, like a warm up. So sketches, yes, I always do sketches.
Okay, and how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on a project?
I start with a reference. I need always a reference image. I rarely paint from nature or from a live model. I do that sometimes only for study. But when I want to do a big piece, I prefer to use reference images. I always take these photos by myself. So I start taking the photos, many, many photos. Then I start doing some sketches with different colors and sometimes with black and white. Sometimes I use only charcoal to stress on the values of what I want to do. Then I transfer this to my canvas step by step, slowly, and I prefer to work on very long term. Better for me, it works for me better than doing a piece in a week or 10 days and then I'm done. No, I prefer to work, for example, uh, 2 days, 3 days, continuous. Then I stop and I hide the painting. I don't want to see it. Then I come back again after another 2, 3 days to see it. I see it differently. Believe me, I see it differently than the last time I left it. When I work continuous on a painting without taking a break, I don't feel anything the painting tells me to do. I feel like the painting wants to rest in my mind, to refresh myself, and to see it with different eyes. So that's why I prefer also to work in two pieces in the same time. So when I give myself a break from this from one painting in 2 or 3 days, so I have some more time to go to the other one. I feel this is, of course, I reached this process after many, many, many years of working only on one piece every day, until I don't see it anymore. So I reached this conclusion. It's better to work, for me, it works much, much better to do 2, 3 pieces in the same time, and I work, I take a break, I come back, and I see it after 1 month or 1 or 2 months. I add more. Here, the painting, I feel we have a long conversation together, and here I feel like I can't say anymore in this painting. There is nothing else to do, so I decide to stop. This is the whole process. So I start with my cameras, then I end up with with the painting.
All right, that actually sounds like such a organic process, like for working on your designs. By designs, I mean, of course, your artworks. That's the word I usually use. What is the main subject of your artworks, and what made them interesting to you, both in painting and photography as well?
Mostly in human beings, figurative art, portraits. This is I'm feeling attracted to this subject all the time. I do other stuff, but I always, when I do other stuff, I always miss going back to my main subject, which is portraits or a figure. So I always photograph kids as well, children, because I see them very active, very pure. It's fun to deal with them, and in painting, it depends on the model. When I see a model, I see a person. Of course, he or she doesn't have to be a professional model. But when I see a person or my friend or people around me, I ask them permission first if they are interested to be in my painting. Mostly, I'm lucky; they say yes. So I photograph. I start with photographing them, and I always do portraits of them.
All right, and what now? This question is a bit more specific to photography side. What lights do you use in your studio, and how? Oh, sorry, actually, my bad. the next question is for photography. What lights do you use in your studio, and how do you keep your paints fresh on the enamel table overnight or over several days of no use?
You mean the lights I use in taking photos?
No. In your painting
When
studio.
I paint, what light I use? That's a
Yes.
really good
And
question.
also, how do you keep your paints fresh?
Yes, very good question. I always use, I don't know the name of this light, but I always like to mix between warm and cold light to work in, of course, and window light. But when the night comes and I still want to work, I prefer to mix this to any kind of white, cold light with a warm one, because sometimes when I use only cold, it's deceiving my colors, and vice versa when I use only warm. So I mix these two together, and of course, perfectly, the window light is the most perfect one. I always wake up very very early to catch the as long light as I can from the nature. About painting and how I keep them, I prefer to keep them in a dark place without sunlight, because sunlight will damage the oil on the long run. And I keep them, of course, in a dry place, very, very dry, avoiding humidity. This can help the painting and the oil to live longer and to protect it. Also, I use varnish to protect from the dust, from, of course, a lot of pollution. So I always use these things.
All right. And how to get noticed by other studios and how to present your portfolio and your resume as an artist. Like basically any tips and advice on that.
I was reading a book one time and say, I believe in that say, and it's really working. If you want something to be heard, if you want your word to be heard, you have to shout out for it. So if you are a painter, I think it's important to be on the social media, to have a website, of course, in real galleries. So mostly social media nowadays is very important, I think, especially for painters and photographers. So being on social media gives me a lot of exposure. Um, in your country, in my country, I try to see good galleries and I try to speak to the gallery manager about my work. I try to reach them, of course. But actually, in my case, I was always reached from social media. I don't know if this is the case with everybody or not, but this happened with me. From social media, I knew many galleries, many good galleries. And nowadays, it's not only about the gallery in your country or in your neighborhood, it could be in any other country. You can ship your work. So it's not a difficult thing now to shout out for your work. Most important is to think about what I want to do, and not focus so much about it's done before. Everything is done before. I don't put this in my mind a lot. I care about doing it my way. This is the most important thing I give an advice to other painters. It's important to not to focus so much on creating something never happened, because I don't think this exists. Everything's happened, and everything's done. And when you search for anything, I think we will find it on the internet. So focus better on doing a subject maybe done million times before, but you do it your way. This is much more important than creating something doesn't exist, because if we are honest with ourselves in creating that subject in our own way, I'm sure it will reach your viewer. Viewers will absorb and love the work that you are honest the most in it. I mean by the word honest is this point, is to do it your way, not trying to do other artist way, or not trying to do other even if you love so much many other artists, it's very important to try to separate yourself from them and do your own, what you feel about it, what you see about it, not what has done before. This is really, really important.
And the next question is kind of like an extension to the question I previously asked, but it is like how to grow on social media as an artist.
Um, I believe giving information, giving more work in process, giving more what's behind the scene is important, because people who are interested in art would like to know what happened before this piece, like how it looks like before it's finished. How did you do it? How long it take you to do it? What material? If you give people these kinds of information, I think it will attract them to be following you more, and to be interested and curious more to know about you. Because for me, I think it's two ways relationship, not only a one way. One way only, just posting, or just exhibiting your work without giving information as you want to take. It doesn't work. It works better when I give and take, like give some tips, give some advices to others in the same field as you. Many painters, many students, many people who are interested in art would love to know more about how you, for example, how to prepare the canvas, how to varnish the painting, which is the best thing to do when you are searching for a paper brand. What is the good paper for which material? If we interact more with our people, with our community, with on social media, we will reach them more. And you open the door for them to ask you questions, to learn from you. I think this is important.
Yeah, definitely interacting with your audience is the key. Like, I mean, sometimes you get those like profiles that sometimes comment on your Instagram page. I mean, that's obvious their bots, but sometimes, you know, through the hashtags and the algorithm of Instagram or other social medias, you get like people who comment on your work and say, "Oh, nice," and people a lot of time don't even answer those comments. I mean, you always have to be super interactive with your audience. I mean, of course. And next question is also related to painting, and it is how do you start selling your paintings as a fairly new artist?
Um, I will talk about myself, because this is my experiment. I sell through my website sometimes, and through the gallery I exhibit in. So these two ways are the best. I exhibit in a good gallery, and through website. It's not a bad idea to sell through your website. It's not a bad idea. And also I sell through art fair, small art fairs in my neighborhood, in my area. I always participate in art fairs, in small art fairs, and it's very easy to sell, because they are done mainly for people who are interested in art. So if we think about selling, to do a really good website for selling, try to reach galleries and art fairs, small art fairs.
All right, and actually, this next question is the photography question I thought I was going to ask, but now this time it's actually a photography question. What type of cameras do you shoot with, and which is your favorite lens, and why that is your favorite lens?
Oh, that's a long story. I like so much many cameras, but I use mostly Leica camera, the M type, and I use Nikon. Each camera has a different personality. It's exactly like really really different character than the other. The Leica gives me more personal photograph, more kind of more intimate photograph, because I feel in Leica that I can control everything I want. I can do my own scene. I can create it easily, and I can get a result without any even editing on Lightroom. Sometimes only trying to change in Leica gets you what you want without editing a lot. Nikon is, I prefer to use the Nikon when I am working with kids, for example, when I photograph children or more active subjects. Leica better when I use it better when I photograph adults in a low light, for example, in a medium light. So it depends. It depends on the results I'm looking for. When I prefer to go for results that are very controlled scene, I use the Leica. But when I want to get results with active subject like children, for example, birds or moving subject, I prefer to use the Nikon, because the Nikon is really, really good in this. And I use mostly 50 lens and 35 I have. This one, I think they are very, very good for my, especially when I do portraits.
All right, and actually, there was a post on your Instagram, which you're standing next to a painting of a child with a red sweater, and the caption is, "You have been invited to be part of the International Women's Day exhibition in a museum in Barcelona." And could you please tell us about that experience, or how it went, or if that even happened by now?
Yeah, it's I will talk about the painting and how did I choose that model. This model is a little girl. She was 5 years old on that time, and we were doing like an activity of kids playing together, and I suddenly she was playing with like a net on her head, and I saw this scene and I liked a lot, and I asked her, would you like we take pictures, maybe we make paintings of this? And she said yes, yes. So actually me and her, we we decided on the idea, and then I took the photos, the many photos, as a reference, and I liked them a lot. I felt like I really want to paint these pictures. And when I painted this picture, the Miam Museum, which I'm really, really something I'm so proud of, and that it was like a big honor for me, they invited me to participate in that show, International Women's Show. And I thought about this painting especially to participate with, because that painting was a sharing idea between a 5 years old and between me. So I felt like it doesn't matter that most of women, even if you are 5 years old, even if she's grown up, even if she's really, really a senior age, they are all looking the life, I think, the same. Many links between us in all the ages. So I felt it's a good connection to do, and yes, I participate. It will be in show next month on the 8th of March, hopefully I wanted to go to Barcelona to attend the opening, but I don't know if it will work or not. But of course, I will be online to see everything.
Well, I mean, if even if because of the travel restrictions, I think they could manage like a virtual gallery and exhibition because a lot of museums have done it in the past year. I think you're probably going to. I don't know. That's just what I assume would happen if the event wouldn't like be held normally. The artists would ship their artworks to the museum and they're gonna put it there like a virtual live show then people can join. I don't know, maybe it could become that way.
No, and this show is real, not virtual, because I think they are following the restrictions. The exhibition will last for a long time, so they minimize the numbers of people attending the show because of the distance and these restrictions. So I think it's going to be okay for people to see it in real. The thing is, I really wanted to go, but there is a travel problem, not problems, but travel restrictions, as you said, so I will not be able to go. I hope next year.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully. I mean, like last year people told us, like every government told us that by 2-3 weeks the quarantine would be lifted, but it's now been a year and it's still ongoing. But
Let's hope. Let's
let's
hope.
be positive, let's
Yes.
be optimistic. Yes, exactly. um yeah, let's not go into that subject anymore. All right, next question. Who are your favorite artists and designers that have inspired you the most?
I start from childhood. Favorite artist, and until now, uh, Van Gogh. Van Gogh, Vincent Van Gogh was and still my favorite artist. Of course, I like also Degas, uh, Egon Schiele, many others. But what I like about Van Gogh paintings are they are very bold. How the colors are not blended, how it's very aggressive and pure, fresh. That was always attracting me in his work, and until now. But about more artists, I think many more. But every artist I like has something I can attracting me a lot. For example, also Klimt and Egon Schiele works are the same. Very beautiful colors. It doesn't matter to be happy colors or sad colors, but they use colors in a way that is really pure and fresh. That attracts me a lot.
All right, and what are you working on right now that you can tell us about? What kind of project is it?
For now, I work on a solo an idea for my solo show. It should be next year, but I didn't collect many ideas yet. So I'm just doing some sketches. I have a model. I already decided on one model, and luckily she lives nearby, so she always come and I do live sketches about her from her. And but until now, I didn't hold a solid idea about the solo show. Plus, I also work a lot these days in teaching. I'm teaching portrait in oil and in charcoal. I'm working on making a small book about oil painting and charcoal drawing because this subject really interests me to have many information about portrait painting and drawing in one place as a reference for my students. When I was studying, especially when I was studying alone, I was struggling and suffering a lot because of lack of one source. of course, I know one source is impossible. It's very important to have many sources to learn from. But I mean, I'm trying as much as I can to collect information in one place as a reference for my students to make life easier for them when they need a reference. For example, in any job, you always have a reference they have to go back to get the principle, the main principle. You have to get back to it. And I'm trying to do that these days. I'm working on a book about portrait, a small book, more specific, discussing a lot about colors, skin tones, how to reach them, and what is, I'm not saying wrong or right, but why. I'm trying to stress on why sometimes when you see a portrait, you say, oh, it's beautiful. And why sometimes when you see it, you say, it's it's okay, but you don't feel attracted to see it again. I want also to stress this why there is one work viewers see it is better than the other. I am trying, because of course there is no absolute information in art, but I am trying to write what I feel and share this with my students.
All right, and what area beside the area you're working on right now, which is of course painting and photography, are you interested to explore and learn in the future? What I mean by that, imagine, like I say this in every episode, and I think I'm going to keep saying it because it's a good example, like a thought experiment. Imagine right now you had like $1 million in your bank account right now, all right? Which makes you, of course, not to worry about bills and stuff. And because of that, you're going to have a lot of free time. What would you go and pursue? What would you pursue to learn in that free time?
I will learn music, violin. I love so much. It was a dream for me since childhood as well to be a musician, but I never had the time. I would learn music definitely. Music is an amazing thing, and it opens your senses to enjoy life more. I think so. For me, music changed the way I look to life and changed my mood totally. So I like so much to learn how to play music alone by my own. This I want to do. I'm trying. I'm already taking some lessons, but actually not much progress. But I'm trying.
Well, yeah, I mean, everything takes time. I mean, but you surely can, I mean, get to the level you want, of course, with enough time. But yeah, it's completely possible. And with that being said, with everything that's been said and done in this episode, and also to conclude all we discussed, give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and design and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set, like where to start, best tools, softwares, books, courses, anything, like from zero to where you are when it comes to like painting. Give us a step-by-step roadmap if you could.
I would say start with simple material. Like, for example, pencils, color pencils. And nowadays, there are lots of educational videos online. But honestly, I prefer to find a good academy or a good art teacher. Honestly, I this is really my advice. Avoid taking tips from here and there, from here and there, from here and there, because not all of them are amazingly correct. The correct, you will find it in good art academy or with a good teacher, like real courses, real drawing courses. So start with simple materials like pencils, charcoal, with a real teacher, not online only, in a good academy. And practice a lot. Practice. Like if you want to really to draw, you have to do it every day, as much as you can. But also practice correctly in the right way. This is the right way, with a real teacher. It's okay, it can be online, but a real artist. Not only a video from here and another one from there, then you combine them together. That would complicate the life more, will not make it easier. And that's exactly why I thought to do this book I was talking to you about. It's a small booklet, yes, but this is what I want to do, to write how to do your own education in art, simplified. And a good thing also a book to read. I was always depending on Andrew Lumie's books. One of them is Successful Drawing. Another one is How to Paint, I think How to Draw Head and Hand. Andrew Lumie's books are amazing, and they are really, really good reference. Until now, it's my reference. Another book, of course, another thing you have to know a lot about is composition. I have a book. Its name is Mastering Composition. It's really good book. What else? These are the things. Andrew Lumie's books about color. Read a lot about color wheels, the relationship between colors. Is really, really important. But I prefer, if someone like really, really beginner, is to start only with pencils. And that's it.
All right, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining us. And where can people find you if they wanted to message you or had a question?
On Instagram, I always answer the questions through my Instagram account, which is Rasha Alem, and my website. But actually, I will update my website soon. These two. I always answer through my email as well, and it's mentioned on my Instagram account.
All right, of course, I obviously will mention, like, tag you in the posts and everything when I post the stuff on the podcast page, so people can easily find you there. And well, I think that's about it. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you guys in the next episode. Take care, everyone. Bye.